All right, let's jump right in. Whether you're a weekend warrior or you're gearing up for your next big race, the exact moment you clip into your pedals, your body transforms into a high-performance engine. Today, we're going to break down the absolutely fascinating biology behind that engine. We'll explore the science of cycling performance in a way that's detailed, structured, and most importantly, immediately applicable to your training.
Ever wonder why your legs just scream like they're on fire on a steep gradient? Or why your heart rate suddenly skyrockets to the red line even when your pace hasn't changed at all? Well, we're going to decode these physiological mysteries behind exactly what you feel in the saddle. By the end of this explainer, you're going to understand the precise mechanics of what is happening under the hood every single time you ride.
So here's our blueprint for building the ultimate cycling engine. First, we'll look at your body's cycling hardware. Second, fueling the endurance engine. Third, the performance dashboard. Fourth, tuning up with Zone 2. And finally, strength, maintenance, and recovery. Let's get to it.
Okay, part 1. Your body's cycling hardware. We're talking about the actual physical machinery doing the work.
You know, every single pedal stroke is basically this perfect symphony of muscle groups working together. Your quads on the front of your thighs, they're doing the heavy lifting, driving massive power downward. But they definitely don't work alone. Your glutes, which are the biggest and strongest muscles in your body, they're your secret weapon for power transfer and climbing strength. If they're weak, you lose watts and shift a ton of nasty stress right onto your knees. Meanwhile, your hamstrings act in reverse, pulling up, while your calves perfectly control your ankle movement to keep the stroke buttery smooth. And anchoring this whole shebang is your core. A strong core stops precious watts from just leaking away through upper body sway.
Now, human muscles are built from two distinct fiber types, and honestly, knowing the difference dictates how you ride. Think of type 1 slow twitch fibers as your super efficient diesel engine. They can track slowly, but man, they can go for hours without fatiguing, relying on a steady diet of oxygen and fat. That's your all-day climbing fuel. On the flip side, type 2 fast twitch fibers are your rocket fuel. They give you that massive, explosive power for a sudden town sign sprint or a vicious attack. The catch? They burn through fuel and fatigue incredibly fast. Depending on if you're a grinder or a punchy sprinter, you're using a totally different blend of these unique fibers.
Moving on to part 2, fueling the endurance engine. This is where we pit the aerobic system against the anaerobic system.
Basically, your body has two main ways to deliver energy. The aerobic system literally uses oxygen to burn a near-endless supply of fat and carbs. It's your cruising gear, super sustainable, and produces almost zero fatigue, which is why it runs the show on your long weekend rides. But when you suddenly launch a hard attack, your body forcefully shifts into the anaerobic system. This bypasses oxygen entirely, burning stored glycogen to give you fast, immediate energy. But watch out, because this creates fatigue at an astonishing rate. If you burn through all that stored glycogen, you bonk, you hit the wall. And once that rocket fuel is gone, it is totally gone.
And really, this all comes down to your cellular biology. Think of mitochondria as your cellular spark plugs. They take the oxygen you breathe and the food you eat and turn it into usable energy, called ATP. The absolute holy grail of cycling endurance is building more mitochondria. When you train consistently, your body actually builds more of these spark plugs. That means you can produce more sustainable energy, burn fat way more efficiently, and keep your heart rate lower while pushing the exact same wattage.
All right, part 3, the performance dashboard. Let's look at the metrics that actually measure your engine's output.
Now get ready for a pretty massive paradigm shift. For decades, athletes were told lactic acid was the enemy, the literal cause of muscle fatigue. Well, actually, scratch that. It is entirely false. Lactate is not toxic exhaust. It's a premium, highly efficient recycled fuel. The burning sensation you feel in your legs only happens when you cross your lactate threshold. That's the tipping point where you're making lactate way faster than your body can clear and reuse it.
And that lactate threshold directly dictates your FTP, or functional threshold power. Think of FTP as your hour of power, the absolute highest average wattage you can safely hold for roughly 60 minutes before your legs flood with uncleared lactate and you just have to back off. When cyclists obsess over getting faster, what they're really talking about is raising their FTP through focused interval training.
So if FPP is how fast you can drive without the engine overheating, VO2 Max is the sheer physical size of the engine itself. It's the absolute maximum amount of oxygen your body can take in and use when you are going completely all out. A higher VO2 Max gives you a massive aerobic engine. But here's the kicker. Having a giant V8 engine won't win the race if your lactate clearance is terrible. You really need that combo of a high VO2 Max and a high FTP to be a truly elite cyclist.
Okay, have you ever had this happen? You're out on a hot ride, cruising at a steady 150 watts. At first, your heart rate is a super comfortable 130 beats per minute. But an hour later, still pushing those exact same 150 watts, your heart rate mysteriously creeps up to 145. That frustrating phenomenon is called cardiac drift. It happens because of heat, dehydration, fatigue, glycogen depletion, or just bumping against your aerobic limits. The good news? As your baseline fitness goes up, that upward drift significantly decreases.
Let's transition to part 4, tuning up with Zone 2. This is all about optimizing your engine's efficiency. And this brings us to the ultimate secret of the pros. It sounds like a total paradox, but you've got to go slow to get fast. Zone 2 training is this easy, conversational pace where you can comfortably breathe through your nose. Honestly, it might even feel too easy. But spending countless hours here is exactly what builds that enormous aerobic base without adding a ton of physical stress. By avoiding the urge to ride hard every day, you teach your body to burn fat effortlessly and clear lactate perfectly, which builds up that precious mitochondrial density we talked about.
Another huge tuning mechanism is your breathing. You can literally try this right now. Inhale deeply so your belly actually expands, keeping your upper chest completely relaxed. This diaphragmatic breathing is basically a biological hack. Doing this smooth rhythm on the bike significantly lowers your heart rate and pulls oxygen deep into your lungs. On easy rides, try managing this purely through nose breathing. You'll train your body to be unbelievably oxygen efficient before you ever need to open your mouth for those hard efforts.
Finally, part 5, strength, maintenance, and recovery. This is how we keep the engine running smoothly.
Look, cyclists are notoriously allergic to the gym, right? We'd rather just be on the saddle. But staying away from the weights is a massive mistake. Doing structural exercises like squats, deadlifts, and lunges forcefully recruits more muscle fibers and bulletproofs your body against the repetitive strain of thousands of pedal strokes. Building that off-bike strength means dramatically better sprint power, way less lower back pain, and just a much longer, healthier life on the bike.
If you remember anything from this entire explainer, make it this. Fitness improves during recovery, not during the training itself. When you're out there mashing the pedals, you are literally breaking your body down, tearing muscle fibers, and depleting fuel. It's only when you step off the bike, hydrate, eat well, and sleep that your body actually repairs itself to rebuild stronger than before. If you constantly skip recovery, fatigue just piles up, your top-end performance completely drops off, and your risk of injury skyrockets.
To bring it all together, think of your cycling performance as a finely balanced ecosystem. It's a precise equation of your muscle fibers, heart function, lung capacity, mitochondrial density, lactate management, and recovery quality. If you ignore any single slice of this pie, say you crush your intervals but get terrible sleep, your entire performance suffers. You are truly only ever as strong as your weakest link.
Ultimately, there's one unavoidable truth in endurance sports. The biggest secret is consistency. There are no shortcuts, no secret supplements, and no magic interval routines. Building a massive aerobic engine and raising your FTP takes intelligent training, dedicated recovery, and relentless consistency over a long period of time. Long-term aerobic development is what creates the strongest cyclists. So the science is clear, and you've got the blueprint right in your hands. But here's the real challenge. Are you brave enough to truly slow down your easy days to break through your plateaus, respect the power of Zone 2, and start training smarter, not just harder? What are you going to do differently on your very next ride? Thanks for joining me on this explainer, guys. Keep pedaling, and I'll catch you out on the road.